I'll wipe my legs.
Hey everybody, how's it going? So this is the first test. The official test with both microphones. I got my radio voice on.
Testing.
All right, yeah. Okay. All right.
Hooray.
How is everybody doing today?
So we got to remember not to look up and to look at the camera.
Welcome to Unfiltered. This is Unfiltered, the couch sessions. All right, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Welcome, guys. How's it going?
Hi.
Man, yeah. My name is Ted.
Hi, Ted.
This is my lovely wife, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
And you can tell she is the apple of my eye and the funny to my jokes. So we are a married couple.
That we are.
And we've been married for just over a year now. We got married on on what day did we get married, honey?
May 4th.
May the 4th be with you. That is our anniversary.
It is our anniversary.
And yes, it was done for that reason.
Yeah, so he wouldn't forget.
It was so I would never forget.
Smart.
Anyways, so we have a show that we're trying to start here. We ended up in the Word of Faith New Apostolic Reformation.
Dum dum dum.
And yeah, that was a heck of a thing, right? We learned a lot from that. Do you want to tell them a little bit about yourself, huh?
No.
Just staring. Just.
It's because I'm nervous.
She's nervous.
I'm nervous, and nobody's even gonna see this, and I'm nervous.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, just look at me then. You can just look at me and talk.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that Ted and I actually met at the church that we both came out of. We did, which is interesting. So some good did come out of it.
Yeah. It definitely did.
Yep. I came out of it.
Yes, she did. She definitely did.
No, but interesting enough, you know.
Go ahead.
I'm nervous.
There's nobody watching.
I know. It's like, why am I nervous?
Because this is her first time. We need to be gentle with her. Be kind in the comments.
Kind.
If you guys could give some encouraging words to Amanda, please. I'm sure she would enjoy that. Yeah.
So the cool thing about it is not only did Ted and I meet at the church that we both came out of, the Word of Faith, but oh yeah, so so I don't know, I feel funny. So Ted is actually the one who noticed the Word of Faith. What did I even say?
So we were. Amanda has a history. We'll go into that in later episodes. She has history. Former addict. Same as me. We are both former addicts. I have 5 years coming up on 5 years clean from everything. From praise Jesus, praise the Lord, brought me out of that stuff. Gives me strength every day to do it because I could not do it on my own. Amanda is going on 6 years, and
it's been over 6 years, but
well,
it's only been 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, how do you say that?
Yeah. So that's great. And we both were brought to church. I think you were raised in church, right?
Yeah. So my grandparents were Baptist. I believe. I'm not even sure. I know they were non-denominational, so maybe it wasn't Baptist. But yeah, I grew up in the church setting, and the Pentecostal, charismatic, yeah, environment, I guess, as a kid.
So they weren't Baptists.
Nope. I don't know. I don't remember. I was.
Maybe.
I was young. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just know that I used to they were teaching us how to speak in tongues and stuff at like camp and stuff like that, and
because we all know you can be taught that stuff.
yeah,
right?
and you
can be taught to speak in
yeah.
tongues.
Well, I mean, at that age, like you just think that you're following the Bible and stuff, and I remember them placing their hands on us and us falling backwards.
Yeah,
and I thought it was so cool, and I remember not wanting to, but I did want to because everybody else was,
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And then you went into addiction.
I did. I went into addiction for quite a while.
And then after that, it was you were brought back to the faith.
Yeah. So about I got saved, or I like to believe I got truly saved about 2.5 years ago now, where I fully, completely gave myself over to Christ. And after that happened is when he delivered me from like mental health issues that I was suffering at the time. Anxiety attacks, bipolar. Just I couldn't keep a thought to save my life. I couldn't have a conversation with people. And once I truly surrendered, he changed all of that for me.
So you had like you were brought into a church,
yes.
A charismatic church,
yes.
Which so many of us have been because of the feelings and the emotions that they stir in you.
So,
and it all feels so, that's the thing about it. The charismatic church is that, and a lot, we're not painting with a broad brush here. I want to speak to every single charismatic church. But for the most part, the larger amount of them, that it feels so good, and all the language used is so spiritual sounding, and there's scripture sprinkled into it.
So let's hear a little bit of your background.
Well, I'm here. We'll go into that. So I came in 2006. I was in jail, believe it or not. Look at me, right?
I believe
it. But I was, what was that? What was that? That was 19 years ago. So I must have been, let's see, it'd be 32, 23. I was 23 years old. And I went to jail, and I was sitting in there for quite some time. I think it was like 9 months. And I met a pastor that came into jail. He did jail ministry, and his name was Randy Stone. And he was in there with another guy named Ted, and I thought that was cool. I was like, "Hey, Ted, that's my name." Like one of those stupid.
Yeah.
But so they come in, and I went to the room, and they would do Bible studies. It was the Christian Motorcycle Association, right? And that's where I first met. I started learning about who Jesus was. My background is I was really into New Age, and I used to self-induce out-of-body experiences and astrally travel, astral projection. I messed around with tarot, astrology.
I honestly think that's a path that we all go down too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're looking for answers. You know that? I mean, that's what I was doing. I was looking for answers, and these things offer. It seems like they offer answers, but that's the trickery in them, is that they really don't offer any answers. Right. They just, for me personally, it just made me have more questions, and it made me pursue more. This is cool. And I looked deeper into it. And then I went into the ancient aliens thing. Like not just the TV show, but the actual like the belief that aliens came and seeded the earth and all of that stuff. And we can go into that at some other time. If you guys want to hear things about that, whatever. That's what we're gonna do. This one's recorded, but what we're gonna be doing is these are gonna be live streams from now on, and we're gonna have a chat, and you guys can talk. You can chat, message in. We'll answer questions. We'll talk about subjects you guys want to hear about.
Yeah, we're basically just inviting you guys into our home. Like,
yes,
we're just being like we're a couple of
exactly
God following people that want to
try
share.
to be.
We want to invite you into our home. That's what we're doing here. Saying, hey, come hang out with us. Like, let us know what you got going on in your life. Like, let's be friends. Let's become the church. Like, and let's talk about things that we're going through. What do you guys want to talk about? What do you want us to talk about? We're nobody special. We're just out here trying to, help if we can help somebody.
Absolutely.
That's the purpose of this. Like, we just want to help in any way we can. And if that's,
there's a lot of people that have like are like us. I think that have been hurt by the new apostolic reformation, the word of faith movements, these tithing into the miracles, give your money, sow your seed type stuff. Spiritual abuse.
It's tough.
And manipulation and the prosperity gospel.
The prosperity gospel. That's what it is.
I mean, it's repackaged as all kinds of other stuff, but
it's so
it's
funny.
the prosperity.
Yeah, it's like, when, for me, like, coming into it, after being sober and just searching for God, knowing that that's what I wanted. And then, the first church I ended up in was, this prosperity Jesus. And I didn't know any better, right? Like, I thought I was searching for the real Jesus, which I'm sure a lot of people do. And like, so then I start with this trying to speak in tongues, and I know it was forced, but that's what we're being taught. Like, if you don't do it, you're not truly saved. So then you start to question your own salvation, even though God has like renewed you, because you can't fake like, being delivered from mental health issues and stuff. You can't fake that. But when you're in a church and they're telling you you're supposed to act a certain way, and then you don't, you're like, am I truly saved? Like, so going into that after, being sober and stuff like that, and then realizing that it's not even the real Jesus that you're following, and that they're manipulating you. And, thank goodness I, met Ted, and, he's seen it before I did. He pulled me out of it. I didn't see it. Even when he, started like pointing things out to me, I didn't see it.
So let's backtrack a little bit here. So the church that we got into and came out of is a church that it's word of faith. They have, it's really crazy, this one. I don't know if any of you guys ever seen something like this, but they have the word of faith prosperity. They have the new apostolic fivefold ministry, if anybody's heard of that. They practice the 7 Mountain Mandate. Yep. They push seed faith. They push, there's a lot of new thought stuff in there. They do new revelations. I don't think I've ever seen so many heresies in one church. The lead pastor is a guy. You guys seen him on my channel. If you've watched some of my older videos, my channel is fairly new. This channel is new. But
he's had many, many other channels.
Yeah. But so this one, the guy's name is Vern Peltz. I've featured him in some of my videos if you've seen some of the ones that I do solo. By the way, I still am going to be doing some of them videos. I don't know if I'll be doing them as frequently, but I'm going to try to keep up with the teachings, the solo teachings. With the video clips and stuff, like, this is Unfiltered, the couch sessions, right?
Sessions.
Yeah. So anyways, this church, they prey on, and I really don't know what other word to use but pray, because that's what they do. They're, these people seem very godly, very holy, but they're preying on the recovery community. They are based in Cambridge, Minnesota, and a couple of surrounding areas. They have a few churches, but Cambridge, Minnesota is a big recovery town. As far as I know, I mean, I was in the recovery community there, and it's a big recovery community. And I think almost everyone that's in recovery. I want to go get that. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but sorry about the AC. We forgot to turn it off. But the recovery community in Cambridge, Minnesota, they basically all go to these people's churches. They're like central. And so what they do is they prey on the vulnerable people that come in off the street and are just getting sober. And these are broken people. Yep. And so they end up going to this church, and then for a lot of them, it's their first encounter with a church, with Jesus. And so they're sucked right in. And then, for most of them, they don't even know they don't even know what the tenets of faith are. They don't know what saved by grace is. They don't know what works-based salvation is. I mean, they don't know basically none of them even picked up the Bible ever.
Right.
And so their theology is taught, from the start by these, and they're broken. So they latch on to this thing that seems so good. Right. And so I've spent the last 2 years basically of my life trying to call these people out, this church out, trying to point out where their heresy is there and where they're using people for money, and just leaving people broken because they're not getting the things that are promised to them. And so that's where the church that Amanda and I both went in, where we met. And yeah.
So Ted actually, so in the future, like you guys might, in some of the videos, we might be using this very church to show heresy and, where they're going wrong and putting the Bible back in its context the way it should be. In this very church, Ted actually did go to the pastors, because there's two. There's actually a woman, which is the first error. But besides that, like, he did go to the man. He brought him aside. We have texts to prove all this stuff because we've been called out for it, saying, why didn't you pull him aside? Well, yeah, he did.
But if I could stop you there really quick, when it comes to a pastor, you don't have the Matthew 18 doesn't apply to pastors. It doesn't apply to pastors. It does not. I mean, I did, I went to him and I called him out and I told him that he was hurting people that with their the things they're teaching. And yeah, I mean, I didn't have to, but I was told that I didn't have the fruit to correct them. Because I was new into the faith and I don't know what I'm talking about. And, if I picked up yeah. Okay.
I mean, I get that we're kind of all over the place, or, I mean, maybe
this is totally off the cuff.
Yeah, maybe it is just me. This is my first time ever being on video, being filmed. I'm definitely pushing myself outside my comfort zone. But I think that's good, not only for me to grow as a person, but maybe to help somebody else who's watching this, being like, hey, I understand that feeling, and maybe you're being called to do something where you got to step out of your comfort zone and, go in front of somebody and preach, or who knows, so that's, my hope again in all this is to help people with whatever I can, whether it be me looking like a goofball in order to help you, make you feel comfortable, then so be it. So I am kind of all over the place, and I do apologize. I'm extremely nervous, more than
I caught her. So we just got the mic stand, the boom tonight. We just got it in the mail from Amazon, and I just set it up and then hooked her up, and this was supposed to just be a test. We were just testing.
Gonna keep this, aren't you?
I'm absolutely gonna keep this.
Okay, so I didn't know that either.
I just started. Yeah.
Oh man.
I just started talking about just acting like this was a normal one, like we're actually doing it, and And this is going to be the first one.
Oh man. So here it is. I mean, hopefully I can look back at this and be more comfortable with myself.
Yeah, and so we're going to be like, I'm not done setting up the scenes in OBS and stuff. I don't have things, quite done yet, finished yet to start the show. So this is kind of a raw run, just kind of an introduction. We're gonna be we're gonna pull up scriptures and video clips and stuff.
This is my husband. I should have known better. And I feel like I almost did. Like halfway through this, I'm like, okay, so he's kind of going on a little longer than I'd like here with this. Oh man, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just an introduction, just kind of a get to know you video and so you guys can kind of see our personalities. We can kind of get a little more, you can get the wife more comfortable on the camera. I hope I can get more comfortable
because I didn't even know this was going to be like, I didn't even know he was going to post this. And yet here, look how awkward I am. Oh, wow.
I love this though. This is how it should be. Like I said, the next ones are going to be live and all that. And we're going to, we'll be pulling up clips of pastors showing kind of some teachings that are in these movements. We're just here. We don't know what else to do. We're just trying to provide a space. That's the goal. Is hopefully, we're putting this in the Lord's hands. This whole thing is in God's hands, and we're just two normal people. I do a lot of studying, a lot of digging, a lot of like reading and into stuff. And so, I'm kind of
he's a nerd.
I'm kind of a nerd about this stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I'm just trying to help. My wife here has been through it. She can provide she also does research. She learns these things. Like she's read quite a few books on this stuff when we were coming out of it.
The Word of Faith.
Yeah, about the Word of Faith and stuff. A good book.
We have a few of them in there. Good one. But yeah, so we both have done research. He does a lot more than I do. He's definitely smarter than I am. But thank goodness for him because he definitely has a spirit of discernment. He definitely has discernment, and that is again why we got. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's from reading the Word, you guys. The way to get discernment is just by reading the Word. Mm-hmm. These books did help with that though. But a couple really good books, you guys. First one, I think it's D.R. McConnell, right? Yeah, D.R. McConnell, A Different Gospel.
It's a must read.
Super, super good book.
Yeah. Really
good book. Helps a lot. And then another one is by Heidi Pivik and R. Douglas gave it called, I'm sure you guys have seen this, A Counterfeit Kingdom. Another really good book. They're cheap on Amazon. These are not expensive books. I think they're like $10 to $14, something like that.
There's one that's called Christianity in Crisis too. That one's a really good one.
Yeah.
It's a very good one. That one helped me.
Yep. John MacArthur's Strange Fire.
Yep.
We're learning some stuff lately about this lordship salvation. If you guys have ever heard this term, it's kind of a works-based thing. We'll go into that at a later time. But yeah, this is just a raw off the cuff first go. I just said we were going to hit record and then we were going to test the sound and everything and then see how it looked on the camera. And I just started going and got the wife to keep going. And so I tricked her.
Yeah.
And, she gets nervous on camera.
I'm nervous again. It hits me every once in a while, but I don't know.
Yeah, you'll get through it.
I hope so.
You'll get through it.
Yeah. Be nice to me, people.
Yeah, please. Give her some encouragement. Yeah. But yeah, so as we were saying, before I got off track there, that we're trying to provide, the goal is, we're putting this in the Lord's hands for him to do whatever he wants with it. He has kind of blessed and cursed me with the ADHD or the drive or whatever you want to call it to, really like electronic stuff and and like software for editing, sound and all this stuff.
Again, he's a nerd, and that's okay. It's very, very attractive.
And so I've been in, we spent a lot of money on our equipment, but it's all for him. We're trying to, hopefully we'll get to the point where, anyways, we want to provide a space for you guys to chat. Like I said, we're going to be doing live stream, not recorded anymore, so that we can have some chats. You guys can talk about whatever you want to talk about and tell us, comment on this video. Tell us what you want to hear about, if or just your thoughts, or, if you guys need prayers, like we're here, we'll pray with you. Whatever it is,
I know, sorry.
No, it's fine.
So we come across a lot of videos on YouTube that have helped us, and so I guess that's kind of our hope, is to be that for somebody else. Like,
amen, yes.
We come across a lot of married couples and stuff, and we just end up binge watching their stuff, that have gone through the same stuff we have, and yet they're farther along, and we're still kind of early on, even though it's only been a few years. So, maybe somebody's just coming out of it, looking for what we were when we first came out of it.
Yeah.
We're just trying to help.
The prosperity gospel, from what I've seen, goes hand in hand with works, a works-based salvation where, you need to do more for God. You're not doing enough, or you need to walk in your blessing, or walk in the anointing, or it's just, there's so much that you need to do, and for me that was really harmful, because when I wasn't doing something, when I was just sitting at home, watching TV or whatever it was, I was shaming myself and feeling guilty that I wasn't doing enough. So instead of sitting at home and watching TV, I was out trying to do the next thing, trying to gain my way into heaven. Like, I was trying to, if I do more, then God won't, or if I had a sin, then, oh man, I would just guilt myself and just feel so bad for the sin. And I'm like, oh man, am I going to be saved? Am I going to lose my salvation? Yeah. And it was just, and that's what this church, that's what that church that we, call out does. That's what they teach, is that, they say they try to refute it and say, we're not teaching workspace. We don't do that, and then the very next sentence will be something where you need to do something. Right. It's they talk out of both sides of their mouth constantly, which is a sign of false teachers, Yep. But yeah, we just wanted to say hi. We want to introduce ourselves and say thank you very much for watching. We hope you guys stick around. We hope
it'll get better. This will get better. We'll have topics and stuff like that again.
I think it was good. I think it was already good the way it was.
I don't know.
Yeah, I really do. I think it was good.
We love you. And we hope you come back.
Yeah.
And, again,
really,
welcome.
Really. Thanks, guys.
This is our home. This is our living room.
Yep, sure
this
is.
This is literally just our living room.
We turned it into a podcast set.
Yep. And we're like, hey, let's invite people into our home.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
I think that's cool.
If they want us to talk, or what they want to talk about, let's do it.
I know our lives are so busy, and everyone, like, we feel like so overwhelmed that we're busy all the time that we just want to sit at home. We get it, because that's what we want to do. We just want to sit at home. And so if we could all sit at home together and have fellowship,
yes,
that would be insane. It's kind of like, using this YouTube platform to reach out and be, let's create a church here or something, whatever it is. We that's what we want to do. So yeah, with that, we will say goodbye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you. And we will see you guys in the next one. And we hope you come back. We hope you enjoyed it.
We do.
Love you.
Bye.